He's been there, boots on the ground, bunker gear on his back, coffee in hand, and faith in his heart. This is the RB experience. From dog tags to bunker gear, the real-life stories of Royce Bottoms. Army veteran, firefighter, minister, and the kind of guy who's seen the wild side of life and lived to tell about it, with a grin and a gospel truth. From close calls and good laughs to hard lessons and quiet prayers, this podcast brings you behind the scenes of service and straight into the heart of faith. Brought to you by Beyond the 12 Ministry, these episodes remind us that even in the toughest times, God's never out of reach, and a good story always brings us closer. So grab your coffee, pull up a chair, and get ready. This is the RB experience, and it's just getting started.
Hey guys, I want to welcome you to the very first episode of the RB Experience. I am your host. I'm not only a veteran, I'm a former firefighter and a believer on a mission to share real talk from the front lines. My motto is real simple: from dog tags to bunker gear. It's just not a job, it's a calling. I'm affiliated with my gaming side of Fools 72, and I've also been in ministry for 25 years where I have a ministry called Beyond the 12. All right. We'll get into all of that later. But why is there an RB experience? Where I work at, I had some coworkers come to me and they asked a question. They said, "Hey, you've had all of this time in the military and all this time in the fire service, and you sit around sometimes and tell some funny stories. Why don't you do a podcast about this?" And I thought about it for a while and I chewed on it. And I got to thinking, I was like, well, what would it hurt? Except if all of y'all know me and you follow me through Jesus and a Cup of Joe, which is the original podcast about my faith in ministry life, I was trying to figure out, should I keep the two podcasts separate? Should I blend them together? How do I work this out? Because I had no clue. So as I talked to people, because I was speaking with some friends of mine and was running these ideas through them, they were giving me all types of ideas and all types of thoughts, and I appreciate each and every one of them. But the one thing kept coming to me, and this was, I wanted this to be a real experience, my experience, but I don't want to shy away from my faith. And so being a full-time worker, having a full-time family, trying to keep a ministry going online, trying to do a podcast online, everything else that I got going on, I was like, well, I don't know if I have time to run two separate podcasts. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of energy and a lot of money, and it takes people. And the thing about it is I don't have people helping me. This is me. I'm the producer. I'm the editor. I am not only the host, I'm the owner. I have to pay the bills, and I have to get all this stuff sitting out there to where it sounds halfway decent for you, the listener. And so as I was looking at this journey of trying to figure out how I'm going to do this, I did have some questions brought up about the ministry. Are you giving up on Jesus and a Cup of Joe podcast? Which the answer is very simple. No. So this is going to be a sub-series of the Beyond the 12 Ministries. It's going to sit underneath that umbrella. There's still going to be Jesus and a Cup of Joe, but from time to time, you will see that I will have the RB experience running on the platform alongside the Jesus and a Cup of Joe podcast. So if you want to have fun, you want to laugh, you want to cut up, you want to enjoy life, you can more than welcome to listen to this. If you want to listen to good messages and faith and about real life experiences and how Jesus can work through your life, you're more welcome to listen to Jesus and a Cup of Joe. Or if you want to listen to both of them, by all means, do that. All right. So this is how I wanted to do all this. All right. Like I said, I do some gaming online. I love playing video games. I'm 53 years old. I shouldn't be playing video games if you listen to most people, but I enjoy it. And most of the time that I get on and I play like Call of Duty and things of this nature, I'm usually on there with other veterans. And I spend most of my time just talking, and we all kind of just shoot the bull as, honestly, kids are running around killing us like we're just standing still. But it's a good outlet for me for after a long day of work or a long week of work or whatever. It's a good outlet to be able just to clear your mind. Now, I know some people have said, well, why is veterans playing war games? Don't that bring up bad memories? Well, yes and no, depending on that person. I use it as an outlet because through gaming, I have met a lot of great people that I consider good friends of mine. Now, I will say through this episode in this series, as I talk about people, I may not use their name unless I get permission. For the simple fact is, I don't believe in sharing people's names and information like that if they're not aware. So, but I can tell you this, I've been gaming ever since the original Call of Duty that came out. The very first Call of Duty, I started playing off of a small laptop, ran into this little club, and I know I'm digressing, but I want to kind of give you a quick background. Ran into this little gaming club online. It was called The Art of War, or better known as TAW, T-A-W. And through this, I met a gentleman who is an Air Force veteran. He lives out in Oklahoma, and we became good friends. I watched his kids pretty much through gaming. I watched them grow up. They have kids of their own. They have lives of their own. And I've met them on occasion when I was able to go out to Oklahoma for business. And I met a really good friend that I can call on at any time. And that right there means a lot to me, to be able to play video games and to actually meet people. And I know this is kind of digressing from the experience, but it all comes together as a package, okay? It all comes together as a package. There's going to be plenty of stories to tell. My goodness, I have tons of stories. Like I said, I spent nearly 20 years in the fire service in the hometown that I still live in today. And I spent 14 years in the Army. So I have plenty of stories, good, bad, or indifferent. But I plan on telling you the ones that'll hopefully encourage you, maybe make you laugh, maybe make you forget about the things that are going on around you at that particular time. All right? So talking about the gaming, reason I was doing that is because, like I said, I game under a gamer's tag called Fools72, which really has a meaning. The word fools, F-O-O-L-S, which stands for Fraternal Order of Leatherheads, which is a part of the fire service. And it's kind of funny when I came up with that name. So, just to give y'all some quick insights on me, and if you hear my chair squeaking, I apologize. Like I said, this is more relaxed than the other podcast, so you may hear paper shuffling, mic being bumped or whatever, me drinking tea, whatever, because I want it to be a laid-back experience for you guys, all right? So I graduated in 1990-91. In the town that I'm from, used to be a small town. Now it's grown. I almost consider it a part of the metro Atlanta area. But if you have your Google map, if you look and you find Georgia, I'm about 40 minutes north of Atlanta. I sit right beside a big old lake called Lake Lanier, and that's where I'm from. Born and raised here, and when I graduated high school, I wanted to get out of here. I graduated with a technical high school diploma, which they don't really have that anymore. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, so I walked over to Gainesville, Georgia, walked into the recruiter's office and said, hey, put me in for however long I can go in and let's do this thing. Now, for all of y'all that are listening, let me go ahead and explain this to you. Education is very important. All right. Educating is very important. Here's the reason why. I played high school football. I didn't care about school. I did the bare minimum that I could to get out. And when I took the ASVAB test, it showed that I did not put forth an effort. All right. My ASVAB scores came back real low to the point to where I failed. And they said, nope, you can't go in. You're going to have to come back and retake the test. And I said, okay. So about a week later, I went back in, studied some, went back in, and I took the test. And I scored high enough to be what they call, back then, it was a 77 Foxtrot, which is now a 92 Foxtrot, which is a petroleum supply specialist. basically a refueler, a gas attendant, pump man, whatever you want to call it. And I said, okay, this is good enough for me. I'll just take this for right now, and I'll figure out what I want to do for the rest of my time. They said, okay, well, you are eligible to go to airborne school. I said, sweet, you're going to pay me to jump out of a perfectly good airplane. Where do I sign? So I turned around and I signed up, and off I went. My mom at the time, because I was still a little no, I wasn't underage, but she was there with me. I signed the papers and boom, ready to go. Graduated May of that year. And by October, I think it was October of that year, I'm sitting in Fort Jackson, South Carolina for basic training, boot camp. It was like 13 weeks, give or take. So off I went. I started my Army career, went to Fort Jackson, and I was there for basic training. Met a lot of interesting people. Let me tell you something. When you get thrown together with a bunch of people, bunch of guys from all around the world, different walks of life, you see things that you are not prepared to see. And I did it. I saw all kinds of people. I met very smart people in the Army. I met very dumb people in the Army. I met some people I don't know why they were in the military, but they were. So I did my basic training, and then I went over to Fort Lee, Virginia for advanced training to learn how to be a refueler, and then airborne school, and then I was off overseas. I spent 2 years in Germany. Now, I had some deployment. I may talk some about deployments, but I will tell you I won't get into great details because some of these deployments do not hold fond memories for me. And, you know, as transparent as I try to be as a veteran, I do suffer from PTSD, anxiety, and depression. But by talking about some of the things that I'm going to talk about and the stories of laughing and things of this nature, in my opinion, is good therapy. So now, with all that being said, I'm going to stop right there at Fort Lee, Virginia for a second. So prior to me going into the Army, I think at the age of 16, I joined back then our volunteer fire department. And it was volunteer at one time because at one time they had over 300 members, and they were actually the largest volunteer fire department that was in the nation at that particular time. And I started off as a firefighter because that's what I wanted to do. All right. Growing up, kind of rewinding the tape way back, my parents, all right, my mother's side of the family, they owned restaurants. They owned huddle houses and waffle houses. All right. And my father's side of the family owned dry cleaners. And they owned this one dry cleaner that was down in Buckhead, Georgia, which is down in Atlanta. And I remember there used to be a fire station that sat across from the dry cleaner. So as a little kid, I would watch these fire trucks go in and out all day. And I saw a ladder truck. The very first time I ever saw a ladder truck, I was in love. This is what I wanted to do. I want to be a fireman because I think it's cool. So I joined the local volunteer fire department at the age of 16 when I was still in high school. Did my basic little fire academy stuff, just enough to know halfway what I'm doing and still get in trouble. But anyway, so for about a year or two, give or take, I was a volunteer firefighter. And so that's what I actually wanted to do for the Army. But like I said a few minutes ago, I didn't have a strong education background. So therefore I didn't score high enough on the ASVAB test to be a firefighter. But I figured the time I had in the service, it would give me an opportunity to score higher, to do better, and then I would better myself. Because when I left, I had no intentions on coming back to this county that I still live in today, because I wanted to go out, blaze my own trail, see the world, and do my thing. But one thing you'll learn as a Christian conservative, I do share my faith in this sub-series. So if you're looking just for raw, nasty, dirty type stories, it's not going to happen here. All right. I'll tell you some stuff. It may get a little on the razor's edge, but at the end of the day, I'm going to tell you all about how God got me through the situations that I was in. So, getting back, Fort Lee, Virginia. I was there, learned what I needed to learn, did everything I needed to do, did all my training, all of that. Bam, on my way to Mannheim, Germany. All right. And if you're not familiar with Mannheim, Germany sits about, 45 minutes to an hour south of Frankfurt, Germany, which is the heart and center of Germany. And my first duty station in Germany was 70th Trans Aviation. They were at the Coleman Army Airfield, which no longer exists. They disbanded, I want to say in the late 90s, maybe the early 2000s, they disbanded the unit. They actually turned the entire base back over to the Germans. But anyway, so it was an aviation unit. And I never figured out that I would love aircrafts so much. But where my barracks sat, I was on the second floor. My window looked out at the airfield. So I looked at, I got to see Black Hawks. I got to see Chinooks. I got to see the old Hueys. I got to see all of these aircrafts every morning. Now, in the middle of the night when they're doing operations and they're flying and stuff, you learn to sleep through it. But you also learn after time on what the propellers sound like, on what aircraft is coming and going. So my job at that particular time was to work on a HEMTT, which is it's like a 6x6 vehicle. Has multiple tires and wheels. It's actually made by Oshkosh, the HEMTT, and they come in a variety of sizes, but mine had a fuel system attached to the back of it. So what we would do is if we got called out to go do some refueling, we would go out and refuel whatever aircrafts were coming in or going out. That's what I did. The rest of the time I spent inside the hangar with the rest of the team that I was with, which is funny because we also had German civilians working with us. And I'll just share this with you. It's kind of cool because during lunchtime, the Germans can go to lunch. They could do whatever. And if you've never been to Germany, you'll understand that beer is a way of life over there. So it's not uncommon to see Germans go in and have lunch and grab a beer and then come back to work. Obviously, the military is a little different and we don't do that. So I spent my 2 years at Germany. And like I said, that's where I did a lot of my deployments from. And after that, I drew to come back to stateside. And I was actually supposed to go to Fort Hood, Texas. But there was a guy that was sitting there with me as we were getting our orders, and he was from Texas. And they had him going to Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And so him and I started talking, and I said, man, I'm from Georgia. Kentucky's nothing to me. You know, it's right up the road. And I said, man, it's going to be a heck of a drive for you and back and forth. And so we were able to get our orders swapped, and I was to go to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, home of the 101st Airborne Air Assault. Huh? All right. So here I go. I get back to Georgia, spend a little time at home. First time I've been home in pretty much 3 years. And now I'm off to Fort Campbell. Now I get to Fort Campbell and I do a year and some change there. And then I get out of active duty. I'm not getting into a whole lot of stories at Fort Campbell because I want to save those for other episodes. I'm just kind of giving you an outlier of everything. Came back to Georgia, got out because I didn't want to go to Korea. And that's what they were offering me as a re-enlistment. Didn't want anything to do with Korea. So I got out and I spent some time out before I went back into the Georgia National Guard in 2006, 2007, something like that. But anyway, so I got married. I've been married, divorced, and remarried. First marriage lasted 16 years. Then it blew up in my face. This one, I'm running strong, working on my 10th year. I have 2 grown biological kids that are 25 and 21. And I have 3 stepchildren. A set of twins, boy and girl, that are both now 15, and a girl that is soon to be 13. And so as 53 years old, I am basically doing this all over again. I don't mind it. I get to learn from the mistakes I did the first time. So So that's everything in a nutshell, getting me all the way up to this point. Now, I'll say this. When I came back to Georgia, I ended up going to work for the county until there was an opening for the fire service. I was on the waiting list, and that's because our volunteer fire department turned into a career department, and I was on the waiting list to be hired. So I worked in the county, like roads and bridges or the water department, things of this nature, until I could switch over to working full-time. I did work some part-time shifts, and then I got hired full-time. All right. So that kind of gives you the background, the layout of who I am, where I'm from, what I'm about, and how I got to where I'm at today. So with that being said, I'm going to cut it off right there because I don't want to go any further, because there will be more and more as we get into. Now, I will say this. As I get into some of these stories, as I get into just laying out just different funny stories and things of this nature, I'm going to start reaching out to some friends of mine through the fire service and through the military to invite them to come on to the show, because I know y'all don't want to just hear me talk. I would love to get another fireman on here, whether he is retired or active, and just shoot the breeze. All right. And just tell stories, because I'm telling you, it's amazing on the stories and the things that you learn about people in the fire service, especially in the military. So, I'm also going to talk about hot topic buttons, topics that people don't like to talk about. I want to talk about PTSD because it's real. It's real for our public safety, and it's real for our military. It's real for our civilians. All right. I want to talk about burnout, because that is huge in the fire services, burnout. You'll hear that all the time. I want to talk about having faith in a crisis and having a power in the community and having power into families that you never thought you may have. Okay. So there's going to be a lot of different segments that we're going to build into this. All right. And we're basically going to talk about things and to let people know, listen, you're not alone on what you're going through. Every story has value. And if you're searching for a purpose after the service, you're in the right spot, because I'm telling you, this is all about having fun. It's all about healing. It's all about connecting. It's all about just good old fashioned get in there, tell stories, and have fun. All right. So listen, I've already taken up about 20 something minutes of your time. I don't want to take up any more, because these segments will be bigger moving forward. But I want to thank you for taking this opportunity today to listen to this episode. Okay. And I want you to know that you're always welcome to be a part of the RB experience. If you have an opportunity, I want you to subscribe, follow, and share on your socials. Listen, if you play video games, whatever, you're on Twitch, you're on YouTube, things of this nature, do me a favor. Take a look, man. Fools72. I'm out there. I'm streaming sometimes. I'm mainly out there having fun. Jump on. If you listen to this episode and you find me online, shoot me a message. I don't care. Now, I will tell you, there's multiple ways of getting in touch with me. So if there's questions that you have, send them in. If there is things that you want to say on the podcast, whether it's Spotify, things of this nature, there are ways of communicating. You're more than welcome. Doesn't matter which email that you see. If you see the Jesus and a Cup of Joe email or whatever, I will get all the emails and I will answer your questions. If you want me to use your name, I'll be more than happy to use your name. But if not, I totally get it. All right. So listen, like I said, I'm hoping to have guests on here. I want to talk about a little bit of everything under the sun. I want everybody to feel comfortable. I want everybody to feel welcomed. And most of all, I want you to feel comfortable. All right. So welcome to the RB experience. I hope and pray that you have a fantastic time here. I look forward to bringing you some really cool stories and just sharing memories with you. And I'm going to get out of here. I want you guys to be good. I will catch you next time, and you guys be good.